welcome to the chat on Newsday Amarillo and News Channel 10-2. I'm David Lovejoy, and I'm the only one here today.
I was waiting for Chuck
to see his nephew graduate from college, and Rhonda had some work to get into, so hanging out with me today, but I'm not alone. On Fridays, we like to give you a little encouragement, let you know what's going on in your city, and give you the opportunity to think on a positive note. And our friend Brant Fricker does that. Friends with Brant Fricker each and every Friday here on the chat. Good morning, Brant. How you doing today?
How's it going, my man? I was waiting for the other introductions, but it's just you and me and thee, and this incredible man we've got with us qualifies for modern day sainthood. We're about to dive into all the wonderful things that Sam Castor is doing in feeding hundreds of millions of children. It's a great day to be alive.
Sam Castor, welcome to the show today. Just hearing your story and talking a little bit, it brings to mind this question, the quote from Martin Luther King Jr. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? And you have decided to pick that mantle up and do for others. Tell us a little bit about your organization and what your mission is.
Well, thanks. I have a not-for-profit that is called MannaRelief. And years ago, in the 1990s, I was introduced to a biotech company here in Dallas. They had made the discovery of the medically active molecule in fresh aloe vera gel. And I mean, everybody's heard of aloe vera and what it does for sunburn and all that. Well, there's actually a molecule responsible for that. It's called ace-mannan. And the problem with ace-mannan is it's labile, which means that after you pick the leaf, it's gone in 24 hours. So this amazing healing support molecule disappears overnight, literally. And so a group of research pharmacologists made the discovery of the molecule, named it ace-mannan, stabilized it, filed and received about 130 patents around the world. And what this molecule does is it attaches to the master regulator of your immune system. It's a large white blood cell called a macrophage. And when it attaches, it activates that. So in other words, it optimizes your immune system's response to everything. Damaged cells like sunburn, disease cells, pathogens like viruses and bacteria. So it just optimizes your body's response to all of those things. Their goal, once they made the discovery, they did about $100 million worth of research, was to bring it to market as a drug.
Wow.
And for what? For the treatment of everything that requires your immune system support to recover. And so you say, well, what conditions would those be? And the answer was everything. There is no poor health condition that doesn't require your immune system intervention for recovery. So they thought they had just discovered, the best pharmaceutical therapeutic product of all time. Well, that was very disruptive to the big pharma industry. So their application for approval was blocked. And they thought that at some point common sense would override bureaucracy and they would get it approved. But in the mid-1990s, they were stuck. And so I was introduced to them to help them bring it into the market as a dietary supplement, not a drug. And ultimately, the FDA rejected it because they said it doesn't have a drug effect. So a drug alters the physiology of a disease process in your body. So it'll make your blood pressure go up, make your blood pressure go down, whatever the desired alterating effect is. What a nutrient does is it optimizes normal physiology. And so they said, you don't have a drug, you have a nutrient. Anyway, they would fight that battle for 20 years. In the meantime, I licensed the technology to help them bring it into the marketplace. In 1997, with access to this technology, I was in Romania at a very large orphanage organization. And my wife and I were adopting all of our children at the time. Mm-hmm. And so we had been financially supporting this organization. And I asked the head caregiver just through conversation, what's your biggest problem? What can I help you with? She said, our biggest problem is the health of our children. We don't have good nutrition. We have no access to health care, poor sanitation. So our kids' immune systems are extremely compromised, which makes them highly susceptible to every kind of chronic and infectious disease. And so when our kids get sick, they just don't recover, they die. We lose 30 to 40 kids a year. And I'm sitting here with Ace Mannan, and I know what it does. And I think, at minimum, the quality of life impact it would have on these children would just be unprecedented. So I told her all about the technology, and I said, I'll send it to you in a powdered form. You just sprinkle it on the food that you're providing your children, and it will optimize their immune system's response to everything they're dealing with. So they did that. At the end of the year, she said, you're not going to believe the quality of life impact we've had. And for the first time in over a decade, not one child died in our organization. And she said, everybody that's heard our story wants to know how they can get access to this. So they were networked with orphanages all over Eastern Europe, all over Africa, Southeast Asia, South America. So we thought, well, how do we formalize that effort? And, the only thing we need to do is start a charity, right? So we started MannaRelief in 1999 and went about the business of raising money, just like all not-for-profits do, to provide Ace Mannan to really the world's most medically fragile children. Well, we did that for about 20 years. And during that time, I linked up with other distribution partners around the world to make it more economical to deliver and disperse Ace Mannan. And the challenge that I had is the demand completely outpaced my capacity to raise money. I'm not a professional fundraiser. And of course, I'm competing with everybody in the fundraising industry that's doing wonderful things.
Wow.
And so we build our donor base up to nourishing maybe 100,000 kids a day. And then all of a sudden, there'd be a glitch in the economy and I'd lose half my donors overnight. Mm. And I was complaining about this cycle of unsustainable funding to one of our distribution partners in Mexico, former president of Mexico, Vicente Fox. And he said, have you ever heard of a concept called social business? And I said, no. And he said, it's a new breed of entrepreneur that's leveraging the economic power of the marketplace to provide sustainable funding to technologies that can change the world. And he said, I'm hosting the first international symposium this summer in Mexico at the Fox Center, which is like a presidential library. Wow. And so I went to it, and it absolutely changed my life. And so I came home from that event, and I thought, I'm going to become a social entrepreneur, not just an entrepreneur. And so what does that mean? It means you start a business for the sole purpose of using your profits to fund your philanthropic activity.